X squared equals 2x plus 3.
Very good. X squared equals 2x plus 3. Set them equal to each other. So that'll become x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals to 0. So it could be a quadratic equation. You want to use quadratic formula?
Yeah.
Nah, it's factorable. So we get x minus 3, x plus 1. So we get x equals 3 and x equals negative 1. So this is probably negative 1 over here, and this is probably what? 3. Good? So let's see. Top minus bottom from negative 1 to 3. So what's the top function? 2x plus 3 minus the bottom function? X squared. So I like to do this over here on the side to see if I can simplify anything here before I put it in the integral, especially if I have to do it by hand. So here there's nothing that can be simplified because there's not going to be any like terms. So we're ready to get started. So here we're going to have the integral from negative 1 to 3. And it's just going to end up being 2x plus 3 minus x squared with respect to x. So let's do it. What's the antiderivative going to be? X squared plus 3x 1/3 x cubed evaluated from negative 1 to. You have to do it by hand. So 3 squared plus 3 times 3 minus 1/3 times 3 cubed minus negative 1 squared plus 3 times negative 1 minus 1/3 times negative 1 cubed. 3 squared, that's 9. 3 times 3, that's 9. 3 to the third, that's 27. 27 divided by 3? 9. So 9 plus 9 minus 9? 9. Negative 1 squared, that's 1. Plus negative 3, that's negative 2. Negative 1 to the third, that's negative 1 times negative 1/3, that's plus 1/3. Get a common denominator. So that's negative 6 plus 1. Negative 5/3 times the negative. Positive 5/3. Get another common denominator. 27 plus 5. 32 over 5, which is approximately
Over
10.
5.
Oh, just kidding. 3. I was looking at that 5. 32 over 3, which is 10.667. 10 and 2/3, and 2/3 you should know as a decimal is 0.66666667. Cool? Easy? Two more.
I like this.
Did that one in 4 minutes. We're getting pretty good. Didn't seem like 4 minutes, right?
No.
No.
It was. We started at 2:19. Okay, 5 minutes. Alright, let's look at this guy. More challenging problems now. So y is equal to plus or minus the square root of 2x minus 2, and y equals x minus 5. We know this is a line, and this is the square root graph, right? What does the square root graph look like? Like the diver, right? Except it's the positive one and the negative one. So it's both of them. It's kind of making a sidewards what? Parabola, yes? Alright. Like a diver, kind of like the square root graph? Like this little square root is what the graph looks like.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So like when a diver jumps into the pool, he dives like that, you know, in the form of a square root graph.
Yes. But you said it goes both ways.
It goes both, right? Because it has the positive one and the negative one.
So we have to
So
double.
he dives and he turns
So
upside
you
down.
gotta draw both of them, yes. Okay? So to make your life a little bit easier, they taught you in Algebra 2 to write this in vertex form. So we can take the 2 out, and that'll become x minus 1. So now you can tell me that the graph moves 1 unit to the what? To the right, because it's a change inside. So if we're trying to draw a sketch, moves 1 to the right, we have the positive square root and the negative square root. Cool? And then we have x minus 5. Yeah? So that's gonna be a line that went how many units down?
I,
5, and then 1 up one of the sides, so it's gonna end up being like this. Okay, you're just trying to come up with a sketch. So do I wanna do top minus bottom, or right minus left?
Right,
right, right, yeah.
For this one, it's gonna be right minus left, because I ultimately wanna go from here, right? All the way to up here. So those are what kind of values? Y value. Okay? So this is gonna be a right minus left problem. So a couple of things to remember. Make equations x equals and use y values as limits. Okay? So before you make them x equals, put them in the correct order. Which one's the right one? Which one's the left one? Which one's my right one here? This guy, right? So y equals x minus 5. Now let's make them x equals. X equals y plus 5. Okay, he's ready to be used. Now which one's the one on the left? Y equals plus or minus the square root of 2x minus 2. Square it. That gets rid of the square root and the plus or minus. So y squared is equal to 2x minus 2. Add the 2. Y squared plus 2 equals 2x. Divide by 2. Can I divide each one? And just put it as x equals like 1/2 y squared plus 1. Are we okay? Alright. So far so good. Next thing is to find our y values to use as limits. That's going to be where these two guys are what? Intersecting. How do we find those? Make them equal to each other, right? Okay, so y plus 5 is equal to 1/2 y squared plus 1. You want everything to be on one side, and you don't want the squared part to be negative, because it's going to probably be a quadratic equation. So minus the y minus the 5. So 0 is equal to 1/2 y squared minus, just kidding, y. 1 take away 5 is negative 4. And I don't want this to be a half, because that makes it hard to factor. So times 2. And if what I do to one side, I do to the other, like in chemistry. Keep the equation balanced. So we get 0 equals y squared minus 2y minus 8. And now it becomes easy to factor. So y minus 4, y plus 2. Sure? Do your Lopesian method. So we get y equals 4 and y equals what?
I forgot how to do the wheel method.
Forgot the wheel? Negative 2. Good. Alright, so do we have everything? We're ready to set up our integral? Finally, right? So area is going to be the integral from where to where? Negative 2 to 4 of, which is the right function? Nope.
Y plus 5.
Y plus 5 minus the left,
Y squared.
1/2 y squared plus 1,
Yeah.
not dx,
I'll be 1.
dy, because everything's in terms of y. Cool? You want to do it by hand?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Type it in your calculator then. You could do it by hand.
No, it's not too hard to do my hair.
Let me see. Type it in, let's see what you get. Wanna do it by hand? Yeah?
Yeah.
So the antiderivative would be 1/2 y squared, right?
Never mind, calculate
5 minus 1 is 4, so plus 4y, right? Minus 1/6 y cubed, evaluated from negative 2 to 4. And
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I forgot we were supposed to find the antiderivative and I was like,
Oh,
dang.
okay.
More.
You changed your mind? We'll see. Where did I get the plus 4y? Because the 5 minus the 1
Oh,
makes it 4?
4, okay.
Yeah? Good? Now it took a little longer. We put it in the calculator.
Yeah,
Okay?
that works.
You can work it out if you wanted to, and you will get 18.
Calculated it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Alright, one more. Find the, sketch and find the area bounded by this, x equals 0, y equals 2, and y equals 10. So what does 10 over x look like? Does it? Who's this guy's mama? 1 over x, right? So it's actually 1 over x times 10. Okay, so it cannot be 0, so there's an asymptote here, right? There's also a horizontal asymptote here at 0. And it looks like this.
That's terrible. It's so hard to draw in a hand.
So it's the rational function. Yeah? You remember doing that in algebra 2 and then again in pre-cal? No? Alright, so it has to be bounded by this curve. X equals 0, which is going to be this right here. Y equals 2, which is going to be some line like that. And y equals 10, which is another line. So what is the space bounded by all 4 of those things?
Right there, the little,
Right there.
that little boot looking part.
This little boot looking thing, right? Okay? What we're gonna do tomorrow in the next days is we're gonna get that area and we're gonna start revolving it. So if I start flipping it around the axis, what 3-dimensional figure would it make? Kind of like a funnel, right? It's gonna have a hole in the top like that and then another hole in the bottom. Cool? We're gonna do that, hopefully tomorrow. So is this gonna be a top minus bottom or a right minus left? Right minus left, very good. So right minus left, we gotta remember to make what? Make x equals and use y values for limits.
Oh, we in.
Okay, so which is my right curve? Y equals 10 over x. So let's make that x equals. X equals 10 over y, right? What's the left equation gonna be?
Yeah.
X equals 0. That one's already x equals, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so set up the integral. So it's the integral from where to where?
2 to 10.
2 to 10, that's these guys, right? Of the right function, which is 10 over y minus 0
Which is down.
dy. So it's just 10 over y, right? So what's the integral of 10 over y? You should be able to do that by hand. Quick! 10 over y, take out the 10, so what does it look like? 1 over y, what's the integral of 1 over y? ln. 10 ln absolute value of y evaluated from 2 to 10. Come on guys, forgot your
Sorry, I
integrals.
was dumb.
So 10 ln of 10, right? Minus 10 ln of 2. We can take off the absolute value because we already made those values positive.
Are we near the e thing?
And then we can shrink this, right? We can make this 10 ln of 10 divided by 2. And then this 10 can become the power. So it could become ln of 5 to the 10th power. Using the properties of logs that you forgot.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
So you're minusing 2 logs, that's division of the arguments.
Oh, yeah.
There's a number in the front that is the exponent of the argument. Cool? Easy?
What's 5 to the 10?
Got it? Let me give you your assignment.
Those